This meeting started, please. Regular council meeting for the Township of Nipigon for September 19th, 2023. I want to apologize that I'm not at dress code tonight, but it's a very important evening. And so I am recognizing that. Okay, so we will start with our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Corporation of the Township of Nipigon respectfully acknowledges it is located on the traditional lands of the Red Rock Indian Band, signatory to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850, and the township further respectfully acknowledges the historic presence of the Métis people on these lands. Number one, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll go on to item number 2, minutes. Approval of previous council minutes from September 5th, 2023. So we have resolution 218-2023 moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor McKenzie, that the previous council minutes for September 5th, 2023 are hereby adopted as recorded by the acting clerk. Any discussion? All in favor, or sorry, in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay. So item 2B, approval of special council minutes, June 22nd, 2023. Resolution 219-2023 moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the previous special council minutes for June 22nd, 2023 are hereby adopted as recorded by the acting clerk. Any discussion for that? Okay, all in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay, next item. Resolution 220-2023 moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the previous special council minutes for June 28, 2023 are hereby adopted as recorded by the acting clerk. Any discussion on those? All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay. Resolution 221-2023. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the payment of accounts listed on the following payment voucher being the same is hereby confirmed and approved. Payment voucher number 25, 2023 in the amount of $31,353.95. And payment voucher number 26, 2023 in the amount of $260,794.39. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay. Asset management plan final by PSD citywide. Just so everybody knows, our council package was 444 pages this week because of the asset management plan that was included. Does anyone have any discussion on the plan? Councillor McKenzie?
Yes, thanks. So with the asset management plan, we can now apply for grants and funding. And prior to that, would have been a little more difficult for us to do that. So I know there may be some minor errors in the document, like spelling errors or something, but we got the gist of it anyhow, which is great.
Okay, Councillor Sakamoto?
I know from my counselor training last April that this asset management plan is key and is supposed to be the basis of our budget planning. So I hate to ask for paper copies, but I could really use a paper copy of this so that I can mark it and post notes to ask questions. So I have a thorough understanding of it and how it's going to fit into our capital and operating budget.
Okay. Councillor Hart, do you have any
I
comments?
want to do that for all of us.
It's very big.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Westhaver, do you have any comments on the?
So it's quite involved. We might have to have a special meeting once we get it digested.
Yeah.
Or six.
Yeah, just personally for me, again, it's not really a spelling error, so to speak, but throughout the report, it's I mean, with these kinds of reports, there is boilerplate items where they're copied and pasted and pasted and pasted down. And every single one of the items says business and computer equipment, even under the water and all that kind of stuff, which even though it's clear that it's just a mistake and it happens, it sort of changes the meaning of the plan. So I think that should definitely be changed before it's finalized, but I'm not sure, maybe we can have a special meeting or the next council meeting, maybe have them do those changes and then anything else that you see, and then maybe final in 2 weeks.
So it's
Does
more
that sound okay?
understandable.
And does
Can we
anyone,
take a little bit more time to really go through and digest this? This is how many hundred?
it's about 300 pages or
And it's
more.
And it's detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good,
it's very repetitive.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to have more time to digest it. So if we can maybe have a few more weeks to look at it and then maybe go to Linda with any changes, like I can forward you all the notes that I took for those changes, and if anyone has any questions or anything like that. And then they can maybe attend the next meeting.
Yes, I was just gonna say that they are willing to attend and that we just, I gave them short notices.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. So that's fine. And like Kathy said, it's a lot to read and you want to read it probably. Sorry, we're not taking any questions. We don't do that at council meetings, sorry. You're more than welcome to ask questions after the meeting is adjourned if you'd like. Okay, can we make sure that, it sounded like someone wasn't muted on there? Yeah, so we'll not approve this right tonight, and we'll go for it next week, okay? Okay, next item is Marsh insurance proposal. So this is resolution 222-2023, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that this council hereby accepts the 2023-2024 municipal insurance policy for the township of Nipigon is provided by Marsh in the amount of $115,690 plus provincial sales tax. Any discussion on that? Councillor,
Just a question, has the town looked at other insurance companies for prices? I know Intact was at NOMA advertising for municipalities.
No, not recently.
Okay, it's quite an increase.
Yeah,
Yes, and I feel like it's happening everywhere right now.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a 10% increase on our insurance policy, just so everyone's aware of that. Costs are always going up. Are we okay to vote on that? Okay. So again, that this council hereby accepts the 2023-24 municipal insurance policy for the township of Nipigon as provided by Marsh in the amount of $115,609 plus provincial sales tax. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Maybe next year we can look into getting a couple of quotes and see what we can save.
Just in stride too, we could cancel that one and we should go and keep it active for a month. And then flip to another one that's going to give it a better deal. If we get refunded. Right, for the unusable sheet.
Okay, moving on to 4C, request to Superior North Community Futures Development Corporation. So this is just during the application, completion of the application for the Tourism Development Fund. I received an email from the Superior North office, and they were asking if there's anything that we were working on that they might be able to help with, because they have a fund to help municipalities with planning and things like that. So, perfect sort of, opportunity to help with that project with the Marina plan if we do get that, if we're successful with that provincial grant. So that's what this is about. So resolution number 223-2023, moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that be resolved that council direct staff to request a $5,000 cash contribution towards the proposed Nipigon Marina Waterfront Development Plan from Superior North Community Futures Development Corporation. Any discussion about that? All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay, next, next on the agenda is the Investment Ready Certified Site Program, guidelines. So that, is the program that was mentioned the last time, potentially for the mill site to be able to do some environmental, cleanup on there. Does anybody have any questions about it or? Counselor Sakamoto.
I was just, and again, there's just been too much to read here, so I was skimming this. This almost looked like it was advertising sites as they are, or the marketing.
It's, what it is it's money towards getting the site ready for certification, and once it's certified, then you market it on the provincial website. So there is some aspects of the fund that are for marketing. But there's also like cleanup and things like that. Yes.
Actually, Red Rock's in the middle of doing that, I think with BMI over at the Old Mill site.
Yeah, which is,
Yeah.
I'm
With this
wondering
program.
what pot they got their funding from. It doesn't seem like this.
I think they probably can self-fund.
Oh, so they didn't use this program.
I
No,
don't,
BMI is doing it.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question for staff, actually. So I believe we were looking for that report from New Leaf.
I did ask for it.
Okay.
I haven't received it yet.
Haven't received it yet? Like, did they say when they would be able to send it off to you or no? Okay. All right, because that's kind of, it would be good to have that, so we know what.
Yeah.
The extent to what we need to do. Yeah. Okay. And someone's not muted. Can I just ask whoever is on the line there to please mute yourself? Thank you, or Rosie, if you could, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, for E. AmbuTrans for community transportation. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm still, there's so much. Sorry, guys. Okay, that's still investment ready. Okay. AmbuTrans for community transportation. Okay, so from my understanding, it looks like the Red Rock medical van was unavailable due to repairs. And this individual from the hospital is looking to maybe have some sort of a partnership with the municipality and AmbuTrans somehow to be able to provide better medical transportation or more consistent medical transportation. Bernie, this is just for information purposes, it looks like, so. Any questions or discussion? Councilor Vincent?
Yes, again, no, AmbuTrans has basically been used for non-emergent medical transfers. So this, what they're talking about is actual, people didn't have a doctor's appointment on the day or something, or an appointment of that nature, to have some kind of a community vehicle. Red Rock has one, I know, and I believe the Red Rock Indian Band has one as well.
Yeah.
So, maybe there's some way we could team up with either of those.
I think normally the Red Rock van will take Nipigon people, but I think it was just because it was down because of repairs that there was an issue.
They do have the funding, I believe, in place to buy the new one as well.
Mhm. Yeah. We could probably have a lookout at some point in time in the future to see if any more funding comes up for Nipigon to be able to get our own
Yeah.
van too, because there's gonna be a real need for, there is a real need for it.
Mhm.
a lot of baby
So,
boomers.
yeah. Okay. All right. Next, item 5A, we have Public Works minutes. This is 224-2023. All right, do we have any discussion on the minutes and or the recommendations from the Public Works Committee? Councillor Sakamoto.
I'm just gonna say record-breaking time, Shane, to get, I had to look at the date here, because I couldn't believe that they were that close.
Good minutes too. I think I commented to you on that. Great.
So the recommendations within the minutes are as follows. A, PwC recommends to council that council approves 2023-0606 CJ Consulting Services pay invoices received. B, PwC recommends to council that council approves 2023-0904 annual fall cleanup. Tipping fees at the landfill will be waived for brush and yard waste effective October 10th, 2023 until end of business day on Saturday, November 25th, 2023. PwC recommends to council that council approves 2023-0908 operational plan revision 11. The council acknowledges receipt of and endorse the Nipigon Drinking Water System Operational Plan revision 11, and council authorized the mayor to sign revision 11 on behalf of the owner and the CEO to sign on behalf of top management. Councillor McKenzie.
Yes, thank you. I think the only recommendations B and C were listed.
Okay. Now I know that we do have someone who's requested to talk to us this evening or be available to answer any questions about. So we have James Folds representing CJ Consulting Services here tonight. James, would you like to share anything that you have to say about your?
Are we also in camera? Like that? Okay. Yeah, well, in the Public Works meeting,
Chris, maybe pull up here.
all things stand there.
We'll talk about.
But Public Works meeting, PJ Consulting put in invoice for $8,500. And that's for consulting services for $1,800 that worked on the HR there. It seemed like I got the approval from Public Works committee member and well, when I went home, mayor sent an email saying that she had talked to Stephanie Basins, Alan Audit, which was the company that was actually hired to do the construction. So broad basis that when you say, which I talked to Alan and Alan said that Katie, James Cole for his work there. That there is a false. It's a false information. And that's why I brought Alan with me here tonight, because he typically Basins paid James Cole to do work on this last phase with FedNor money, grant money, that the CAO was asked if I would do that. So the first phase of that job was actually from Troy. Money came from Troy. The money was next to none. We're gonna do a demolition and a reconstruction of that. Liberty Basins bid on their job. Element and son, because they actually, the reason they bid on the job was because they did the first phase, which was another roof on, putting inside the facade and make place with it. So they bid on this once we got the train. I was involved in that, my assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we had $76,000 from NOHLT that was sitting at Bell Street. We tried to have that transferred over to this location over there, the HR building, and it didn't go through. And I met with the funding agent from NOHLT, and they actually couldn't find the money to capital. Suzanne found money to $3 so we had $100,000 to do that job. Alan can tell you how they bid on those jobs because that's his story, but his son charged $2,500 to work on that, and that's what he charged for the whole thing. But when I saw him, because Alan was supposed to work with him, but Alan was a contractor himself, he got for Jordan and Jeff and I met together, and I said, well, what can you do? He said that I will do the demolition, but I will not cut down the 2 chimneys, and I can't do any of the reconstruction. I don't feel comfortable doing it. So I said, well, We already got the money. You have to move forward with the project. I said, do the demolition, I'll come down, project two chimneys down. And Jeff is aware of it. Right? So I go there, I knock down the two chimneys, I watch this young fellow who's working down there, demoing the building, and gutting the place. And I go down there now. And I stayed with him. And when we got to the reconstruction phase, and we started working together, I showed him, let's do this, there's nobody there. We paid $5,000 from the drafting company in Thunder Bay to give us a layout for that building. I was there when they measured it all up. And we came up, our drawing, Gordon and I walked in, this is what we were given, piece of paper like that. And there was a layout drawing of what the building should look like. We opening, it had to be made into one building, so we have to tear down all of it, yada, yada, yada. No material list, nothing to do any type of construction. Well, I made up the list. And I said, this is what we're gonna do. And that's where it went. I volunteered my time, or I donated my time. My rate of pay as a journeyman tradesman, I charge out of $40 an hour. Just for my labor. $40 an hour, we work 1,200 hours on that building, comes to $52,000. I was charging that. And why? Because the budget was $100 grand. The heating and ventilating over there took up over 30% of the budget. Of the electrical. We were gonna run with the budget on that job. We're trying to keep it in. End of that, we got the job done. It's ready to go. There's things that weren't done. The office wasn't done. Didn't have the money to do it. But from the look of it and usability, you could do it. For that, ribbon cutting ceremony. I'm in Mexico. No mention of Jim Bull. Suzanne, I told, I'm in Mexico the week you want to have a ribbon cutting. Can we move it one way or the other? No, that's when it is. Jury board members are coming. So we're gonna have it then. Okay, fine. I go to Mexico. They have the ribbon cutting ceremony. No training board members showed up for that. I get put on the front page of the Gazette as missing Jim Cole contractor home. And you can follow the Gazette. You wanna know how that makes a guy feel? That just put 1,200 hours gutting that place. And then the shit that came out of that place is terrible. So end of story there. The
Okay.
job's done.
Yep.
So where did I get paid? Fedner money came in. So it had to be used. So CEO came and asked me, what can be done there on that building? Because we have money that has to be used. So then that's when we came up with a list of things we could do. One of the biggest ones was, are we gonna rip the back part of the first two buildings out? I didn't feel comfortable. I said, you're gonna have to get a civil engineer to come there to look at it.
Sorry to interrupt, sorry.
So anyway, he's gonna tell you that as a volunteer, I did not get paid. I donated, or I did not charge 1,200 hours. When that job ended, there's a next phase to that. If no more money ever came, you could still use that building. And I said, because nobody gave any consideration to a guy that donated 1,200 hours there at the ribbon cutting ceremony and was put down as a contractor out. I said, I told the CEO, I said, I'm not volunteering any more time here. You're gonna pay me. My rate of pay, from 50 basins on the second day, was $10 an hour, up to $25 an hour, no more than his contract pay. And my bill of $8,500 is 1,800 hours. As a consultant, you're paying me $4.72 an hour.
Okay.
My rate as a consultant is $80 an hour. And the rate for that, for any consultant, would go from $80 to $150 an hour. They'll give you the people and they'll give you the time.
We were at the Public Works building, all unaware of this, that you were paid anything. That's. Yeah. Everybody was talking volunteered hours. There was no mention that you were actually looking for anybody, that you were just on your own. helping them and doing stuff.
I was, the first $1,200, that's 8 months.
I know, but that was prudent for a decision, right? To know that you didn't pay. And then this explanation may be behind it.
But, well,
Okay.
This is not appropriate.
No, excuse me,
Well, I-
you do not have the floor, Mr. Robert. I just remind you that you can only address council if you have the floor. Right now, Counselor, thank you, James, you can sit down, please. You,
What? Can he confirm that I was not paid?
if,
Because that's
if
why
we
I'm
ask
saying-
him to, yes.
Because in your email that you sent to everybody, and then it became public knowledge without my knowing, is that Jim Folds is asking to be paid for his volunteer hour. I didn't ask to be paid in my bill.
Sorry, but that wasn't public knowledge, that was between council members.
Oh, why is it public?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I'm not
Well, I
sure.
didn't tell anybody, so somebody put that in this email, could have been discussed at Public Works. It's from the mayor, and she sent it to me and says, I didn't think it was appropriate to ask it there, yeah. Yeah, the general public thinks that I can pay, so why did I volunteer $1,200?
You're not volunteering if you're getting
Okay.
paid.
I didn't get.
Sean?
You wanna get paid.
I didn't
Okay,
get paid for working my hours.
Guys,
Can't you guys figure that
here's
out?
the thing, I have the power to throw you all out of here. James, please sit down, your audience is finished.
I'm done.
Yes, you're done now. Yeah. You're gonna
I just
leave?
wanted to
Okay.
get, yeah, well, you're not gonna.
You don't wanna listen to what anybody else has to say, then you can leave if you
Well,
like.
It
You're free to
sounds
leave.
like you're finished, okay, go ahead.
Does anyone else have any other input on this?
I just had a couple of things.
Okay.
What bothers me after the fact, we know I voted to go ahead with it at public work. And then I started getting a million emails from, because I guess there were people at the meeting at Public Works, and that the rumor mill spread like wildfire. There's tons of people that were just irritated, and people putting in, oh, I volunteered to do this, so I'm going to be putting in a bill. It just turned into a big poop dodge. Right? And anyway, so we're dodging all these bullets, and then had we known about this, that volunteer word might have been removed, and we would have been looking at a serious invoice at the time, funded by federal, that we didn't, because none of this came out about you getting paid from Alan Ovid until days after, like probably 4 days, 5 days. So we were unaware of all the information to make a good decision, and it put a bad spin on it to the public. That a counselor was getting paid for volunteering hours, and it just went on and on and on. So you can see our side of it.
But don't get confused on volunteer hours, the hours that I volunteer. Well, the general public doesn't know that. When I worked with.
Okay,
Board of Office-
Sorry, we're
Okay.
we're muddying the waters here, okay, so. Here's the thing, guys. I've been thinking about this a lot too. I did oppose it at the Public Works meeting, okay? I'm just gonna. Share with you my thoughts here. The issue here is not a question of whether or not Mr. Folds worked on the Edge Arts building. Councils received several emails in opposition of the recommendation to pay the invoice, but not one questioned the fact that Mr. Folds worked on the building. There's no question that Mr. Folds also has worked successfully on a number of items during his 16 years as a council member, as a good active council member should. And I want to say here, thank you to Mr. Folds for that. None of that is in question here. I think we can all agree, even everyone in the audience here. So the issue at hand is, should we pay this invoice? And I do want to address this. I know we don't even have in this resolution anymore, but I do want to address it because I spent all week addressing complaints from people. And going back and forth with Mr. Folds and council members. So the issue is at hand is, should we pay this invoice? Again, so we're gonna put personal feelings aside, any history background that's irrelevant, and focus on the facts. So these are the facts as I understand them. Number one, this invoice was received for work that was completed on the Edge Arts building in about 2018 and 2019. The invoice is dated November 5th, 2022. Some 3 to 4 years after the work was completed, as the new council was sworn in on November 15th. This invoice seems to have originally been submitted to Mr. Aiken while Mr. Folds was still a sitting council member. Number two, Sibley Basin Group was the contractor hired to do this work. CJ Consulting was not hired by the township to complete the work. James Folds was hired as a subcontractor of Sibley Basin Group, or overseen, hired, whatever you want to say. There's muddy waters about what was volunteer and what wasn't. But there is no contract or agreement between the township and CJ Consulting or James Folds to complete any work on the building. Not on paper, via email, or even written on a napkin. There's been no written documentation or verbal confirmation directly to council from senior staff members confirming that the invoice has been authorized by them at any time for payment. The purchase of service that CJ Consulting is proposing does not follow the township purchasing policies and procedures, which clearly states under section 5, purchasing process number 2, over $1,000 but less than $10,000, at least 3 quotations must be solicited by the township in consultation with the user department. These quotations should be written unless in a case of insufficient time, minor purchases or standardized supplies. The requisition is to be authorized by the head of the user department or designate, and the funds are clearly identified in the approved operating or capital budget. And then under the purchasing policies, any purchases, including products, services, contracts, or combination, any item or order over a value of $100 requires a purchase order issued by the treasurer or deputy treasurer. No quote was received by Mr. Folds, and no purchase order was given by the treasurer or deputy treasurer. The money requested would clearly be over and above the approved capital budget for that project. In consideration of these facts, I have concluded the following. If Mr. Folds feels he did not get paid enough for his work, he should be negotiating with the contractor who was hired to complete the work. If the project was going over budget, it should have been dealt with at the time between the hired contractor and the council of the day. It is both improper and I feel unfair for a new council who was sworn in 2022 to be expected to deal with this. I would have expected that a former councillor with 16 years experience in office might have an understanding of that. It's my opinion that approving this invoice is not in the best interest of the township of Nipigon. Moving forward, I can say that our council will work diligently with staff and consultants to strengthen all of our existing policies, and will work to ensure that these policies are followed by staff and are always in the best interest of the township of Nipigon. In closing, I want to thank all of the community members who spoke to me, called me, stopped me on the street, came to my house, and emailed expressing their concerns on this issue. I want to stress that the passing of this recommendation last week at the committee level was not an easy decision for many of the members to make. They were put in an unenviable position and difficult position, and in no way was that decision intended to devalue our volunteers. Volunteerism is the backbone of our community. Without you, we wouldn't have fire protection, a legion, cross-country ski trails, hiking trails, hockey, curling, golfing, the Nipigon Fall Fishing Festival, the Blueberry Blast, it goes on and on. There's been a lot of negativity on this issue, but on the bright side, it got a lot of people thinking and talking about all the great work that volunteers do. So let's turn this negative into a positive. The Citizen of the Year nominations will be coming out soon, and we usually get few nominations. So let's nominate someone you know. A lot of these volunteers fly under the radar and no one knows what they do. They are the last people to toot their own horns. So go ahead and toot their horn for them. If you know someone who hasn't been recognized yet and should be, please nominate them for the 2023 Citizen of the Year. And that is all I have to say about that. Resolution number 22-4-2023, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart, that the minutes of the Nipigon Public Works Committee on September 12, 2023 are hereby accepted with recommendations B and C approved. All in favor? That's without, all in favor, yeah, this is, the A is the first one, yeah. All in favor, B and C? Opposed? Seeing one opposed and 4 carried. Anyone who would like to leave can leave now if they wish, or stay and listen to the rest. Number 6, committee minutes of September 2023, resolution 225-2023, moved by Counselor Sakamoto and seconded by Counselor Hart. Excuse me, that the minutes of the EDC committee of September 2023 are hereby adopted and recommendations are approved. Does anybody have any discussion points on the EDC minutes? Counselor McKenzie.
Yeah, these quick tourist kiosks are, are they proposed to be put?
Well, that's, one of them would, we had talked originally about potentially putting one in for the winter for the hockey teams and stuff down there. Cause there's a lot of throughput down there, and the other one would be either marina or even up at the tower. Up at the tower would require its own little building and an added expense there.
Okay, just so that I'm clear, like it's a digital thing, it's a touch
Yep.
screen, and then.
It's a
you touch
cool-
it And it brings up
Yep.
local attractions.
Yeah.
Local attractions, local businesses, so if they're looking for something in particular. It's basically a tourist information center in a computer. You can change different things and whatnot, and they're cold friendly. They, the makers of them actually use them for drive-throughs in -40 weather,
Okay,
so they're tried in the cold.
I just have two other questions. The Walleye magazine, I think that's a good call there. So that would be $155 per month times 12, so $1860 a year, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that?
Yeah.
And then my last question was, why was November the 17th chosen as Nipigon Day?
11/17.
Yeah.
Same?
11/17.
11/17?
Lake Highway 1117.
Yeah.
11. Oh. Oh.
That one goes way back. I was
Oh.
confused by it too.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
That was suggested by, a woman who used to live here.
That was suggested by somebody who used to live here, and it kind of fits in where there's not really a lot going on anyway,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
And it kind of moves into us trying to do some more things in the shoulder seasons and winter, hopefully.
Anything else?
That's a good date.
Recommendations. Sorry, I've lost my minutes here. I'm gonna read that. Yeah, please. Yeah,
390.
390. Got it. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the recommendations are, oh, sorry, that's. Sorry. The committee recommends to council to plan to purchase 2 quick tourist kiosks in the future in next year's budget. What was the cost of that?
The costings in there, that's just for the basic systems. It's basically to look at whichever ones we want.
Okay,
We never actually came up with the individual one, but they're between $2,000 and $3,000 for the device itself.
okay.
And there is a subscription fee of around $50 US, which I hate, but that's where the system goes per month.
And so, yeah.
But there's also opportunities to sell licenses to other communities, so we can advertise for that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of other. And they've just added a whole pile of user interface statistics and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So one for the NCC and one for the Bridgeview Tower. B, the committee recommends purchasing 12 monthly 8-page ads in the Walleye. In 2024, starting January, in the amount of $155 each, and the committee recommends council to proclaim November 17th, Nipigon Day. And I think there might not be time to sort of do any kind of festivities or special things around
That's
that.
what we realized that this year, but proclaiming it and kind of puts it potentially on the radar for next year.
Yeah. Okay. So, we'll do this again, 225-2023, moved by Counselor Sakamoto, seconded by Counselor Hart. The minutes of the EDC meeting, committee of September 13th, 2023 hereby adopted, and recommendations A through C are approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
No, I'm just thinking to approve we haven't talked about the actual dollar amount for the
Yeah.
kiosk, or
Okay.
what kind of a facility.
Yeah,
It seems like.
Does it fit into
the
our budget?
software, that was $50 a month,
Well,
$50
a
a
month.
year.
And that, like, that's to look into it for like January, kind of like into the coming budget for next year. So all this pricing and stuff would come in.
Okay, because this is saying to purchase, and I think right now. Want to plan a little more about what we want to purchase?
Yeah,
So you're thinking this is for next?
Yes.
That's what
Okay.
I was thinking too, is what is the budget for this type of thing? I'm not sure what the advertising and the economic development
Yeah.
side. of
we
budget
would
is.
come up with more of a relative, here's your cost for budgeting purposes.
So this is in concept that
Yes,
but there's gonna be more consultation.
We need a little change in the wording there.
Are approved in concept, with details to follow. How does that sound? Approved in concept with details to follow?
yeah,
The thing that I brought up back then was the security of it, of the. It's like
Graffiti and
quite
ripped
expensive.
apart.
The vandalism part of it and
Mhm.
stuff, that it's protected in some cases, either in the office or in the arena or somewhere. The lookout might be a little dicey, especially with the bad weather up there. But they don't cover any kind of insurance on machines. You break it, you fix it, you buy another one.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But it have to be looked at too, for sure. So basically, those would be the details that are worked out. We're not necessarily saying maybe that this is where they're gonna go. Those
Yeah.
are just suggestions. So, A and C are approved in concept with finalizing details at a later date.
Yeah.
Okay, is that okay with everybody?
Or subject to budget approval.
And subject to budget approval,
always.
yeah.
to 2024 budget approval. Okay, so I will reread this. That the minutes of the EDC committee of September 13th, 2023 are hereby adopted and recommendations A through C are approved in concept, finalizing details at a later date and subject to 2024 budget approval. Okay, all in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay. So the next item is the recognize the Indigenous Group of 7 in Norville Morrisville. So I can talk a little bit about that. There's no pecuniary interest, there's no money involved here, so. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but there's a new wooden platform up at the lookout tower there, and that's where the Norville Morrisville an Indigenous Group of 7 monument is set to be installed in this, I think it's the third week, whatever, the week of the 12th, that's when it's gonna be installed. And there is going to be sort of an unveiling on October 19th at 1 o'clock. The public is welcome to attend. There will also, we actually did invite Joseph Sanchez, who's an original member of the Indigenous Group of 7, but he's unable to attend, unfortunately. He did want to come, but yeah, so there's gonna be some lots of people there, and it's gonna be a good time. So anyone who's interested in.
Yeah, I believe Norval's brother still lives in town.
There is and there's
So I
also a,
would Suggest we ask him to attend.
yeah,
And then the other thing is, for my, his family, right?
his son Eugene is
Yeah.
invited to attend as well. He's gonna bring
Okay.
his grandkids.
And the other thing is, I have to send my regrets because I'll be moose hunting.
Yeah, it is the month for that. But that's fine. I will be there as well, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be there in which capacity, but yes, Councilor Second will be there too. So, yeah, anyone who can come would be welcome.
Excuse me,
Yes.
has anybody talked to Marcus or the band?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay.
So he was actually originally from Sandpoint First Nation, and those, there are members there that have helped us put together the information for the panel and through consultation with them, and also with the Red Rock Indian Band as well. And so both chiefs are invited, and also council members if they wish to attend as well. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Sundry 7A Christmas reception. So we have an email here from Mrs. Rowley, Debbie. She's booked the Legion Hall for Friday, November 24th for the annual event to thank our staff and volunteers. So yeah, so that's the proposed date, which I think is now hopefully going to be approved for November 24th. And, yeah. Put that down in your calendars, staff, volunteers, and council. 7B, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. There's going to be an event on Friday, September the 29th at 10 a.m. here in Nipigon. Will be involving Red Rock Indian Band, the district, our hospital, the school boards, Township of Nipigon. And I will be there representing the township. Of course, if anyone else would like to attend, they're more than welcome. It's at the community center. Next is the National Chronic Pain Society. Councillor Mackenzie.
I'm sorry, I really didn't understand what that note is all about.
Maybe Rosalie can help us with that, or maybe Linda can help us with that, the Coles notes. Okay, so we are asking that your council pass a motion requesting that the government of Ontario maintain OHIP coverage for chronic pain treatments and continue to provide much needed care for the people of Ontario. I mean,
Yeah, it sounds good.
sounds good.
I just
Right.
don't understand.
I think it's because with the opioid crisis, they're probably maybe cutting
They have cut a lot of
opioid,
chronic pain stuff and,
the addictions.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So resolution 226-2023 moved by Councillor Sakamoto, seconded by Councillor Hart, that this council hereby passes a motion requesting that the government of Ontario maintain OHIP coverage for chronic pain treatments and continue to provide much needed care for the people of Ontario. All in favor? Opposed and carried. Okay, next, responding to the Housing Affordability Task Force recommendations. I think this is just the, this is just for information purposes. Anyone have any comments, Councilor Mackenzie?
Didn't they ask us for recommendations, 5 recommendations?
Yeah. They gave a chart at the end asking to identify the top 5 HATF recommendations that you support and rationale and comments. And that is out of this report, which is about 34 pages and has several, I think, recommendations in that. So, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't have a chance to go through it completely because of the rest of the 400 pages.
Yeah.
So can we maybe defer to the next meeting and have this on there again, if you could, Linda? Yes.
Yeah, just that I had come up with actually 6 topics, but we can defer.
Is that okay if we
Oh, yeah,
defer
it
it?
is.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I can't even
That's a big,
say,
it's
it's a lot to read,
a
yeah.
lot.
We need it on a less heavy,
I can't even read the acronym.
next we have distribution of police record revenue to municipalities. That's for information as well. Commencing in 2025, the revenue will be reduced by 25% per year. And I mean, I think the amount of money that we get is kind of negligible anyway, so it's not that we depend on that for our operations or anything like that.
It's just odd that last week we got the number that we got some and now they're.
Right? It just cancels it all out.
Yeah.
All right, any other business? We'll go around to, we'll start with you, Councillor Westhaver. Do you have anything?
No, actually, I was just gonna ask about the normal thing when that was happening. That might be,
October 19th.
yeah, I would have it.
Yeah. Councillor Mackenzie?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just let everyone know, if you remember back in April, Reverend Zelvin and Lenore Roselle left town. But I'd like to welcome a new pastor and his wife into town. His name is Brian Van Aragon, sorry, and his wife Stephanie, and they have 2 children, Dominic and Sierra. So just to let people know that they're new in town, and
Nice.
you see them on the street and you say hello.
But it probably has a picture.
I think Gary has.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Sakamoto, do you have anything?
Okay, I just wanted to provide an update about the the potential of phase 2 apartments at the Bell Street Seniors Apartments. So we regretfully announced that the proposed phase 2 project, which was to add additional apartments to the Bell Street Seniors Apartments, will not be proceeding at this time. The conditions of the funding, we found, and it was in question for months here about the conditions of the funding. And when we finally got clarity, they were just too restrictive to create the partnership that we needed with our development partner, who had been willing to contribute significant funds and to work on the project. So we do hope to continue to research alternative funding sources and hope that we can move forward in the future. They're very difficult.
Definitely. A lot of work.
And it was so close.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for your work on that, guys. That was a lot of work, and to Louise and James as well for attending those meetings and trying to figure something out. Is that everything for you? Okay, Councilor Hart,
Good for now.
staff? Staff? For myself, any other business, just quickly, I attended the Thunder Bay District Municipal League meeting on Saturday in Doreen from 12 to 3. So it was nice to meet with everybody. We're doing some strategic planning activities with them, and their focus for that is highways, housing, and healthcare. The big three H's. Yeah. So, yeah, other than that, there is going to be we're hosting a meeting in Nipigon on December the 16th. And the annual conference and AGM, which is a pretty big deal, is going ahead to be held at the Nipigon Legion on February 29th and March 1st. So. Okay. All right. Right now, we are going to go in camera, or some of us will be stepping out and some of us will be staying for in camera. 2/27/2023, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor McKenzie, that this council do now resolve into a closed session, enter into closed session pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 paragraphs A 2392B, personal matters about identifiable individuals, and B 2392F, advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege. All in favor?
You're in